'Cause God's design every line, every
Hello, my sisters, and welcome to another episode of Thick Girl Theology. This is your girl, Mia, your resident thick girl, and today we are going to talk how we always talk, telling the truth about food, faith, freedom, our bodies, how we feel, the culture, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Today's episode is called The Last Supper. The Last Supper. And if you haven't been here with us for the past couple of weeks, we have been in a new series of intuitive eating concepts. I am an intuitive eating coach, and I want to introduce you to the concepts of intuitive eating because it's not just enough for us to say, we're going to stop dieting, right? It's not just enough for us to say we're going to love our bodies. I want to give you the how to. And we've discussed two of those concepts already. We've discussed breaking up with diet culture, and we have also discussed honoring our hunger. And today we are going to talk about making peace with food. How do we do that? Well, I want to talk to you. The reason why I called this episode The Last Supper is because many of us enter into this Last Supper mentality when we talk about our relationship with food. Now, we've all been there. We have gone and say, for example, your life gets busy and you know that you're not eating as well as you should or that you could. And so you declare a day, and usually it's a Monday, if I'm being honest, where we say, tomorrow, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to start over. And this is going to be my last meal. So maybe that meal that Sunday night might be, a big meal with all your favorite foods. And then you declare that tomorrow I am starting over. Tomorrow when I wake up, 7 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever time I get up, it is going to be a new day for me, right? And it might not be something that extreme. It might be, let's say you've been eating a box of cookies and you're like, okay, after I eat this last cookie in this box, I'm going to declare a clean slate. No more sugars, no more carbs, no more of these cookies. Or maybe you notice that you have been hitting that drive-through a little hard, right? And you say, you know what? This is my last trip to the drive-through, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this Big Mac, these fries, this milkshake, apple pie, and this is going to be it because I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to do a cleanse. I'm going to juice. I'm going to do all the things. And this is what I call the Last Supper mentality. That Last Supper before that change begins, or before that new plan begins, or before the diet begins. And while we tell ourselves it is us getting discipline or control over what we've been doing, what I want to let you know is that what this really leads to and what it can set the stage for is a cycle of deprivation, guilt, and shame. So, the Last Supper mentality is when we eat with urgency and intensity because we believe we won't be allowed or we won't allow ourselves to have those foods again. So, it's a mental goodbye tour before the next round of restriction. And it almost always ends in failure, guilt, and regret. Now, chronic dieters like me know it well, know this mentality well. What it feels like is, let me enjoy this tonight because tomorrow I'm going to be good, right? Or I'll start again on Monday. I'm going to let the weekends fall where the chips fall and the chocolate chips and the potato chips fall. But on Monday, I'm getting it together. Or this is going to be just one more time. This is going to be the last time I order this DoorDash. And so I'm going to order from a couple of different places. I'm going to do a double dash, triple dash, and then I'm going to swear it off. But let me tell you why I I would so much rather you make peace with food than to be a dieter and a restrictor. And that is because deprivation always leads to degradation. That is across the board, that is in life. Deprivation leads to degradation. And even if it's only in the mind, when we live in fear of things and we live restricting things, it does not release the hold. It tightens it. And food is no different. When we live in fear of food, food begins to control us. And I am not telling you what I have seen or what I've heard. I am telling you what I know about this, okay? When we live in fear of food, food begins to control us. And it doesn't matter if you're thin or if you're thick. I have seen thin women live in complete fear of food, not wanting to break their diet, not wanting to overeat, planning their schedule around their food, missing certain events because there's going to be food there that they don't want to indulge in. And I've seen it for thick women as well, living in fear of food. And that, when we live like that, it begins to control us. So I want to let you know that there is research behind this. Like I said, I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know, and I'm telling you what the research says. So a 2015 study of chocolate lovers, y'all, found that a 3-week chocolate restriction triggered in the participants overeating both before and after the restriction period. So they restricted before because they knew they were going into this study that they wouldn't have chocolate for 3 weeks. I'm sorry, they overate before because they knew they wouldn't have chocolate for 3 weeks. So mentally going into the study, they began overeating, eating more chocolate than they normally would eat. And then they did the 3-week restriction. And after the 3-week restriction, they began to overeat again. That is what the study showed. Now, this is not a new phenomenon because back in 1984, a Canadian study pioneered what we call the dietary restraint theory. Now, it's a theory right now, but it's like I said, these theories that are coming up are bills waiting to become laws, okay? Because it's already happening. And this particular study showed how perception of dieting affects eating. So here's the kicker. There was a group of dieters. They brought a group of dieters together, and they told them, you are now going to eat a high calorie, high macro food. And they allowed them to eat it. But in reality, the food that they were eating was neither high calorie nor high macro, okay? But they were told that it was. And because these participants believed that they had, quote unquote, blown their diet, the majority of them overate that day and the day after. So they overate that day and the day after, all on the false belief that they had eaten a high calorie, high macro food in this study. The study also showed that restrained eaters do not, and I'm going to say this again, do not end up eating less over time. Restrictors do not eat less over time. That's why I've told you this before. Most people diet their way up the scale, not down. And in fact, they eat more than intuitive eaters, making dieting counterproductive to weight loss goals, okay? So I'm not knocking your weight loss goals if that's what you feel like you need to do, but I am knocking dieting because it doesn't work. So it's like being told not to think of a white bear. Don't think of a white bear right now for 30 seconds. Nobody think of a white bear. And especially don't think about that white bear that's in the Coca-Cola commercials drinking a Coke. Don't think about him. How's that working for you? Exactly. Exactly. I bet all of you thought about that Coca-Cola bear. I know I did. Anyway, I digress. Let me give you some more research for this thing. So a 2007 study in children proved this again, okay? You may have seen this study because this is pretty popular. One group was told not to eat the red M&Ms. They gave them M&Ms and they said, don't eat the red ones, but you can have as many yellow ones as you want. So they gave them a span of time. They left the children alone and they said, do not eat the red M&Ms, but you can eat as many yellow ones as you want. And guess what? In every study, the red M&Ms got eaten most every single time. And here's something else. There is no taste difference whatsoever between red and yellow M&Ms. The only difference is the color, okay? They're not like the Starbursts where everybody knows the red ones are best. Fight me on it. Fight me on it. The red ones are the best. M&Ms are not like that. There is no taste difference. So the study revealed something powerful, that forbidden foods become fascinating foods. It happens in kids and it happens in adults. Restriction magnifies desire, not discipline. So, food restrictions have been shown in multiple studies to do two things at once. The first thing that food restriction does is it increases the reward value of that food, meaning the more you cannot have it, the more your brain craves it. Also, food restriction decreases habituation. And habituation is the natural effect that makes resisting foods easier over time. See, habituation simply means that we get used to things through repeated exposure. Like the first time you hear a new song, you might love it to death. The 100th time, not so much. Even if it's still a bop, you could turn it off in the middle of the song. Why? Because you know you can hear it again. It's not rare. It's not forbidden. It is familiar. And it has been habituated so much that means you have heard that song so many times that when it comes to this song now, the magic is broken. The spell is off. It's not, it might still be your favorite song, but it's not going to be something that you have to play over and over again. And when it comes to food, restriction breaks that pattern. I believe that we are created by God to crave variety. So when we eat the same foods all the time, those foods become less special. When something is off limits, though, your brain never gets a chance to habituate. And that's why these restricted foods stay on your mind, feel irresistible, and seem to call your name. And this was confirmed in a 2013 study measuring the brain waves of dieting teenagers. It showed that acute and prolonged calorie deprivation increased the reward value of food, especially calorie dense, highly palatable foods. In other words, the longer the restriction, the louder the brain shouted for the very thing it was restricting. So, food restriction and deprivation, both mental and physical, are what cause people to feel out of control and addicted to certain foods. It is not a lack of willpower that people have. This is biology. Deprivation makes the food irresistible and the appetite for that food insatiable. What we want to get back to ultimately is eating according to our bodies rather than our minds, because our minds will constantly play tricks on us and tell us we should and we shouldn't, when our bodies are created with that ability. So the goal is to reduce the emotional excitement, the morality about foods through what I call exposure therapy for the soul. All right. And here's how it works. You take one food that you feel is out of control, Like, for example, if it's a particular cookie and you feel like I can't have it in my house, I can't buy it at the store because when I eat it, I feel out of control. Maybe it's chocolate, maybe it's fries. It's the one that you swear that you are addicted to. And I want you to, for a week or two, give yourself unconditional permission to eat it. No hiding, no guilt, no internal punishment, and no diet, no promise to swear it off on the next diet. And also, don't let other people put that judgment on you, because you need to prove this to yourself that this is not an addiction thing. If you have it and you give yourself mental and physical unconditional permission to eat it, your body will give you biological feedback. You will get tired of it, and it will no longer be something that you feel out of control around. Let me tell you a story, because I had to do this for myself. I had to prove this for myself. And when I was becoming an intuitive eating coach, we actually did all of this work. And that's how I know that it is true. When the gluten-free Chips Ahoy cookies came out, okay, your girl lost her mind. Your girl was shook, all right? Because since my wheat allergy diagnosis, I hadn't had a decent chocolate chip cookie, y'all, in about 8 years. So when these cookies came out, okay, tasting almost identical to the original, okay, I thought I was going to lose it, all right? I went to the store, I bought one pack, the things was good, and they were gone in a day, all right? But gratefully and thankfully to God, before guilt and restriction could creep in and accuse me and have me going on another diet, I remembered my training. So I did something counterintuitive, very counterintuitive. I went back to the store and I bought 3 boxes because I know my brain. It speaks diet fluently. I was dieting before the age of 12 all the way to the age of 45. So restriction is practically my first language, y'all. But I also know that when I release the restriction, I break the spell. Release restriction and break the spell. And that's exactly what happened. Once my brain realized that there would always be enough cookies in the pantry, that I wasn't going to run out, and I wasn't going to go back on a diet, the craving lost its power. Okay? Those cookies, some of those cookies are probably still in my pantry right now, and I need to throw them out. Okay? Because once I realized, my brain got the message, you are not going to restrict. You are not going to run out of these cookies because you got 3 packages. You are not going to restrict them after you eat them. My brain had a chance to relax. They're there. I do not need to go get one. I can if I want to, anytime I want to, but the spell is broken. That food does not have control over me. I have control over it. So, and the dieting kills that magic. God placed that within us, and he divinely gave us the ability to desire a variety of foods. And that divine rhythm is what keeps hunger, fullness, and joy in balance. We were never meant to eat chicken, mixed vegetables, and brown rice every single day, nor were we meant to live off sweets and fries and chocolate. But when the mental and physical barriers fall away, our bodies can naturally find a balance. We can love the vegetables and we can love the cookies. We can have pizza one night and we can have salad the next night, and we're good and we're balanced. I remember one time being at this restaurant with one of my besties, and I ordered a salad. And we were out for like a girls' weekend. So we were kind of living it up a little bit, right? But we went to this restaurant and I ordered a salad. And my friend said, "Are you ordering the salad because you think you should order the salad or because you wanted it?" And I just felt so grateful to God that I could say it was because I wanted it. I wanted the salad. I ordered the salad because I wanted it. I was not there trying to be good because I was bad the day before. I have reached the point where my body craves balance. And maybe because we ate the wings the night before, today it was time to eat a salad. And it's all okay. If I had wanted the wings again, that's okay too, because I know that my body was going to eventually tell me what it needed and what it wanted. So, with time and patience, we can make peace with food, and we can be around any type of food and enjoy it without stress, without shame, and without fear. All right, I'm gonna give y'all one more piece of research and then I'm gonna be out of your hair. A 2010 body of research on children found that parents who restrict their child's eating often see a rebound effect. Those children end up eating more of the forbidden foods when those foods are restricted. Because when they are given a chance, they will overeat on the food because they have this deprivation mentality. And they have also become disconnected from their body's natural cues. They think they're being bad. And so it feeds into that rebellion. And when their parents are telling them not to eat it and they can't eat it, when they get a chance to eat it, they overeat. And the impact is especially strong in girls who are then more likely to grow up as emotional eaters, equating food with both comfort and rebellion. And think about how many times in your life you need comfort and how many times in your life that you may eat with rebellion because other things in your life are not going well. But restriction does not just affect our bodies. It rewires our relationship with trust, control, and pleasure. And so what does that mean to make peace with food? It means eating what you desire with attunement to your hunger, your fullness, and listening to your body's cues. It's learning to make food emotionally equal. All food is emotionally equal. We don't attach shame. We don't attach moral value to food. You're not a good person because you ate the broccoli, and you're not a bad person because you ate the cake. And this mentality of freedom without the Last Supper mentality gives you space to ask, do I actually enjoy this food? Like, am I actually enjoying this experience? How do I feel after eating it? And would I choose to feel this way again? It's not lawless eating. It is liberated eating, guided by love and trust and not fear and restriction. So the Last Supper mentality focuses on restriction, on what we can't have, what we've done wrong, and what we're trying to fix tomorrow. But the real Last Supper, where Jesus ate with his disciples, that was about presence. It was about Jesus spending that time because he knew it was about to get crazy out in these streets. And Jesus wanted to take this time alone up in the upper room to talk to his people. It was about presence. And that's what eating for us should be about. He sat with his disciples. He broke bread. He gave thanks. There was no fear. There was no hiding. There was just presence and purpose. So if you are a believer, know this: God cares about your body. He does. He created it. He called it good, and he can be trusted to show you how to feed it. You can live in peace. You can eat in peace. You can move your body with peace because it all begins with having peace with him. So today's truth is you don't have to earn your food or fear it. And peace with food starts with permission, not restriction. All right? So sisters, if this episode has spoken to you, share it with a friend. who's tired of dieting, who's tired of the restriction mindset, who's tired of the Last Supper mentality and ready for deliverance. Until next time, this is Mia Deneen reminding you that you are full of grace and purpose. Grace and peace to you today and every day.
God's design, every line, every sign.